The night was quiet. The dim light of the room covered Hily's small room. The young girl had just finished her work for the day, turned off the light and prepared to fall asleep. But there was one thing that Hily did not know. Right under her bed, there was a stranger hiding. The darkness in the room became an ally for the lurker, and he was waiting for an opportunity to act. Hily could not have imagined that, from this moment, her life was about to be caught up in a series of terrifying nightmares. Today's story is not fiction, but a real event that makes many people shudder. Before the terrible events happened, Hily had a stormy love affair with Bulat. At first, Bulat was a thoughtful man, making Hily feel safe and happy. But later on, Bulat began to reveal his hot-tempered personality and easily lost control. Small arguments gradually turned into big fights, even violence. On one occasion, Hily's neighbor, Mr. Carriot, heard a loud noise and decided to call the police. Thanks to timely intervention, Hily was rescued from Bulat, and she decided to end this toxic relationship. She thought that breaking up would help her escape all the troubles, but she didn't know that the real nightmare had just begun. After breaking up with Bulat, Hily tried to start her life over and find new happiness. Not long after, she met Kododer, a kind man who gave her a sense of security and peace. One day, Hily invited Kododer to her house for dinner. But they didn't know that there was a third person watching. Bulat, in a fit of hatred, sneaked into Hily's house in advance and hid under the bed. He observed Hily and Kododer's every move. His jealousy flared up like a fire. In anger, Bulat decided to take back the couple's private photos, intending to use them for revenge. When Kododer left, Bulat was still hiding under the bed, waiting for another time to carry out his dark plan. Hily had no idea that in her own house, a lurker was gradually manipulating her life. Things gradually became more dangerous when Bulat was no longer just an observer. As time passed, the relationship between Hily and Kododer grew closer. But a long business trip by Kododer left Hily alone in the house. No one knew that this was the perfect opportunity for Bulat to continue carrying out his dark plan. He often sneaked into Hily's house at night, hid under the bed and observed her. One night, when Hily was fast asleep, Bulat decided to act. He crawled out from under the bed, holding a towel and a bottle of anesthetic. But suddenly, Hily turned over in her sleep, startling him and forcing him to retreat. Bulat stopped, but his obsession did not lessen but increased. He returned many times, each time more daring, but Hily still did not realize his presence. She was completely unaware that every night, just a small distance under the bed, there was someone silently watching her every breath. While Hily still did not realize the abnormality, her neighbor, Mr., began to suspect. Mr. Carriot noticed strange signs. Hily's door was sometimes left ajar, and small noises were heard at night. As someone who had helped Hily escape from a toxic relationship before, he decided to investigate. One night, Mr. Carriot discovered a shadowy figure sneaking into Hily's house. Instinct told him to quietly follow. But when he faced Bulat, he did not expect that he was putting himself in danger. Bulat, in a fit of anger, pushed Mr. Carriot down from the balcony, creating a fake scene of suicide. Mr. Tung's death left Hily and those around him in shock. No one could have expected that Bulat had become so cruel that he was willing to kill to cover up his crime. Hily began to feel uneasy, but she still did not understand what was going on. She had no idea that the person behind everything was still hiding in her own house. Mr. Carriot's death left many doubts, but no one could connect it to Bulat. Kododer, after a business trip, returned and realized the gloomy atmosphere surrounding Hily. He began to notice abnormalities in the house, traces on the floor, the feeling that someone had been in here. When he heard about the Carriot's death, Kododer had a hunch that it was more than an accident. Kododer decided to secretly investigate, to find out what really happened in Hily's house. Taking advantage of both Hily and Kododer's absence, Bulat continued to sneak into the house. He no longer just hid, but began to take bold actions, such as moving furniture and stealing small items. Kododer, during the investigation, realized that this behavior was not that of a random stranger but was intentional. He quietly contacted the police and asked them to join in trapping the lurker. The plan was carefully arranged, but was it enough to expose the truth? Everything was about to reach its climax. One night, Bulat sneaked into Hily's house as usual, not knowing that he was being watched. The police and Kododer were already lying in wait, waiting for the right moment to strike. In the darkness, Bulat began to crawl out from under the bed, about to carry out his terrifying act. Suddenly, the lights lit up the entire room, and the police shouted. Bulat was arrested on the spot. He tried to resist but could not escape. Under police interrogation, Bulat confessed to all his horrifying acts. He admitted to breaking into Hily's house many times, secretly filming, and even deliberately setting up a fake scene to blame Mr. Carriot. He also confessed that he pushed Mr. Carriot off the balcony to silence those who knew the truth. Hily, upon hearing the entire story, confessed, feeling shuddered and guilty for not paying attention to the unusual signs. The truth was finally revealed, and Bulat faced serious charges. With Bulat's confession, the police gathered enough evidence to bring him to justice. He faced charges such as trespassing, harassment, spying, and murder. Bulat tried to beg for forgiveness from Hily, but it was too late. Hily, despite escaping him, was still haunted by what had happened during the past time. Kododer was always by Hily's side, helping her overcome the mental shock and regain a sense of security. The two decided to start a new chapter in their lives, putting aside the painful memories. Sometime later, Hily and Kododer welcomed the good news she was pregnant with their first child. They went to the hospital for a checkup, preparing for a new beginning with hope and happiness. Hily's life eventually returned to peace, but the lesson of vigilance was forever imprinted in her mind. She feels grateful to Kododer for the patience and unconditional love that helped her overcome it all. Thank you for following Hily's story. If you love stories like this, please like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to share this video to spread the message of vigilance and the meaning of true love. See you in the next videos. Have a nice day.